What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Sutton Sanctuary Podcast.
Brand new episodes with special guests and myself coming to you weekly.
Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe so you guys are up to date and get notified right whenever those new episodes are dropped.
Once you guys are done with that, head on over to Hydrate12 IV Therapy and Wellness on Facebook and Instagram and get your IV scheduled today.
The Sutton Sanctuary Podcast on YouTube and Spotify, as always. Thank you guys for watching. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We are in the sanctuary. It's been a little bit.
Has been.
Mr. Oxford back with us today. Zach, what's up, man?
Thanks
for coming back and hanging out with me.
Happy to be here, man.
Appreciate it. Yeah, dude, it's been a little over a week since I've been in here and done any recording, man.
No kidding.
Yeah, dude, my head's just been where the ultra, what we were just kind of talking about,
Yeah.
the running. I've been like back and forth on if I was going to do it. And then once I decided I was going to do it, the way that my brain works, I needed to like formulate a plan like right then. So I just like this whole time, that's all I've been thinking of. I haven't been listening to podcasts, shooting any, none. Just completely stepped away. I was like, I just got to lock in and think about this next decision. But
yeah, I'm curious, like where 50K, like where did that even start?
So
have you talked about that in a podcast?
Mm-mm.
Okay, yeah, like
No.
where'd you get the idea to do a 50K? Like, have you ran races before?
Never.
Like,
I never ran cross country. I ran track a little bit.
Okay.
But that was like just to get out of school. And then I didn't run cross country ever. I've never ran a sanctioned race. No race like that ever in my whole life, ever. So I had been getting this itch. I was like, I've been getting this itch to like compete. I miss competing.
Sure.
Like, I grew up like being an athlete, like competing my whole life. And now it's been a little while since I've competed in anything. And part of me is like kind of missing it. And so I was going to kind of go bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And because that's kind of what I've like trained in and the lifestyle that I've kind of created for myself the last couple of years. But like I'm like an all or nothing kind of person.
Sure.
And like if I was gonna do bodybuilding, I was like, I want to run steroids. I want to push it to the extreme. Like I don't want to do this natural. Like maybe that's just a dumb way to look at it. But in my mind, I'm like, I want to push it as far as I can.
Sure.
Like, and Riley wasn't too keen on that idea. It's fair enough. Yeah. Like I just got like my fertility back in check and like all of my levels are looking good. So it's like, and I don't really want to go like throw all that in. Like I just know how it is. Like whenever I stop taking TRT and like that can be rough enough as it is. And getting into these cycles. And I was like, I'm in a pretty good place mentally right now. And like, that's just like, I know that there's going to be issues with that.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, well, what can I do? And then a couple weeks ago, I see Matt Gilpin posted on his story. Him and like 7 or 8 other guys ran in that relay across, I think it was like across Southern Illinois.
Yeah, river to river run.
Yeah, the 80 miler.
Yep.
And what striked the interest in running or just competing, running, and what kind of got my mind going initially was he posted a picture on his story at 5:30 that morning of all of them loading up in a van, and they were all heading out. Okay. And I just remember I saw that picture, and he was like heading out, about to go run, and like it just hit me in my gut. I was like, damn. I was like, I wish I was getting in that van, like so bad. And I
could go run 80 miles.
Yeah, and I had just woke up at like 6 in the morning, and I'm laying in bed, and like it was getting my heart rate up. I was like, I wish I was in that van. I wish I was on my way to run and compete. And so I ended up, a couple weeks go by. Now I'm talking to Matt, and he was like, he brings up this ultra marathon in August, and he was like, hey, he's like, I'm gonna probably run the 50K. He's like, it'd be the biggest race I've ever ran.
Okay.
So I was looking, and I was like, I don't even know what 50K is.
Yeah.
So I looked it up, and it's like 31 miles, and I was like, okay.
And is this the Tunnel Hill run or Shawnee? What is it?
The Shawnee Trails 100.
Okay.
In Ozark, Illinois.
Okay. I think you go through Tunnel Hill in that.
Maybe. Okay. Yeah. I had it pulled up earlier. There's all sorts of different stuff that you run by, and like Jackson Falls. It's like out in that area.
Yes.
I've not actually been out in that specific area. So, yeah, once you brought that up that he was going to run it, I just looked into it and I was like, what about running? You know, I was like, I've never really been a runner, but like something about ultra running is like kind of exciting.
Yeah.
So I looked it up and it was 30 miles and I was like, and maybe I'm just like delusional, but I was like, I can run 30 miles.
Sure.
Like, it's going to suck. Like, and that's just what it is, you know? And like at the very beginning, you just have to know that. Like, it's going to suck.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know, whatever.
So I've done, let me think. So I've done 2 Tough Mudders that were the half mile or the half marathons.
Yeah.
I've done 2 Spartan races. Man, this was all back in like college. So I did some, like we went down to Georgia and ran a Spartan race. Yeah. A few buddies from, and we used to do this quite a bit in college. Like,
what's a Spartan race consist of?
Like those obstacle course races.
Oh, okay.
So every, quarter mile or, fifth of a mile, they'll have a new obstacle that you got to complete or something like that.
I gotcha.
They're fun to do. Same as the Tough Mudders. They're just obstacle course races.
Yeah.
But the group that I kind of rolled with in college they were the cross country runners in college. Like these guys are knocking down 60 to 100 miles a week.
Right.
I mean, just crazy mileage. Yeah. And I've never been a great long distance runner, but a few things. These guys would go do these big races. So Southern Illinois also has, I think it may just be called the Tunnel Hill Run. And I think it's a 50K and then also a 100K. And one of my buddies was doing the 100K run.
Yeah.
And he needed some pacers. And I was at that time a pretty solid, like, if I was going to go run 5 to 10 miles, like I could keep a steady like 9-minute mile pace. Like I've never been a fast runner, but I could put in some mileage, especially if I trained a little bit for it and whatnot.
9 miles is still, or 9.
Sure,
9
it's
minutes
not bad. I couldn't do that right now.
Over 10 miles is still moving on.
It is. So I went out and I paced them. So I would, I'd do a 5-mile stretch and I'd take a break and, I'd drive to the next location and do that. So we had some fun doing that. But one of my best friends, his name was Aaron. So Aaron in college, dude, this guy decided one day, he's like, I'm telling you, on a whim, this guy's like, dude, I'm going to run from Indianapolis to Chicago.
Oh, wow.
We're like, shut your mouth, dude. Get out of here. He's like, no, I'm going to do it. And so he sets this goal of like, however far into the future, he's like, we're going to go run this thing. And we're like, whatever, and all this. I think he called it like Inspire 200 because it was just over 200 miles. 200. And he starts like marketing this thing on social media and garnered like some news station attention. Yeah. To where there was a number of news stations along the way that kind of joined in. They're like, hey, like here's Aaron doing his thing out here. I mean, it was really cool. Wow. So I ended up running probably 30 miles over the course of 3 days. He did it in 3 days, by the way. Yeah. So 200 plus miles in 3 days. It was crazy. Yeah. So I rode a bike for part of it. I ran part of it. But other than that, I did 1 half marathon, and that was plenty for me. Yeah. I was cooked at that point. And again, I've not, man, I don't know that I've run a 5K in the past 8 years. Yeah. But my daughter, my 5-year-old, there was a color run there in North City, and my 5-year-old was like, Dad, we need to run a race. So it's funny that you started posting this stuff about the 50K, and my daughter's like, Dad, I want to run a race sometime. What can we do? And I'm like, let's start with a 5K.
That one's coming up, isn't it?
They had the color run just like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, they just had it.
They just had it.
Are they getting ready to have another one though?
I don't know. Maybe.
I thought I saw my Aunt Katie had posted something on Facebook about it.
They may have I know summertime is getting
maybe it was
race
the one
season.
I just missed. Maybe I missed it. I don't know.
But we've talked about doing some of this too, the running. Now, I've not talked about no 50K. Yeah. But that's awesome, though. I saw that, and the first thing that I thought was like, man, like, that's a mental game. I remember, so podcasts in general, I got into whenever I was running a lot in college. Like, I would go out and knock down, somewhere between 5 to 10 miles a lot of times for these obstacle course races. Yeah. And just to, put away at a 9-minute mile for 10 miles, like, you've got to have, like, there's a little bit of even head game with that. Yeah. You're just I'm going to go run for 90 minutes.
Yeah. That's one of the things I think that bothers me. That's going to be the hardest for me is not the running itself. Like, cause obviously, like, yeah, it's going to be terrible. Like I'm very confident though in the fact of like physically I can do it.
Sure. Yeah.
Like I just know that I can do it physically. It's gonna be like you're on these long runs whenever they get really long, and it's like you're getting ready to go run for 2 hours.
Yes.
Like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And
those
like
4
that's a
a.m.
long
runs.
time.
And
like it's not, to me, it's not even like I'm not even thinking about the physical aspect. To me, I'm just like, God, 2.5 hours, because I'm so impatient. So like for me to be on task and like to do that for 2.5 hours, like part of it's going to be a little bit of like probably driving me insane a little bit. Where I'm just running. I'm like, I just want to do something else.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
not even really tired.
Yeah.
I just am done doing this.
I think though, when you get out there, like on race day, and you're with your friends, like you got people building
surrounded
you
by
and it's
racers.
It's 10Ks at a time. Like if I got this first 10K,
that's what I
got
thinking.
This next 10K.
So there's 8 stations every 5 miles. So there's 6 of them, and I'm like, okay,
sure.
Like I said, like I ran 5 this morning, 4.5 this morning, and like, was cruising, and I'm like, okay, I do that 6 times.
Absolutely.
But through some trails and hills, and so. Yeah, I don't know. It was.
And what's the date for this again?
August 23rd.
So August, okay.
Yeah, so it was like
hot,
super hot. Yeah, it's gonna be miserable.
Man.
Yeah, I was 16 weeks out was like Monday. Well, it was like last Saturday. So I'm a little under 16. So yeah, like 110 days or something like that.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't know. It once I started thinking about it, I was like, that kind of seems like, because whenever I first was thinking about running, I'm like, I'm not really interested in just running a 5K. Like, I'll go run a 5K right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like, that's just like my mindset with it. Cause I'm like, I don't know. Just like something about doing the most. Just like, I'm in. You know what I mean? Like,
and that is doing the most. I mean, that's a long race to be able to, or just to say, there's not many people, unless you're talking like David Goggins kind of people that are like, yeah, I'm going to run 50K today.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to train, I'm going to run 50K here in 110 days.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Well done.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, man.
I'm all I think about it every day. Like, since I've made up my mind that I was going to do this, every single day I envision crossing the finish line.
Yeah, man.
Like, I just close my eyes and I think about it. I just imagine like some of my family there, Briley's there, and like it's gonna just be crazy emotional.
Sure.
Like, that's all. I'm gonna cry probably.
Sure.
As soon as I cross the finish line, I'm probably just gonna bawl, just to lose it. And like, I was reading up on all this stuff about like the runner's depression, like after races and stuff. Just like, what now? And I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, this addict like personality that I've got, addictive personality that I've got, like, this might be a problem.
Oh, dude, it'll be exciting.
It'll be a good one to have. Yeah, so we'll see. I was gonna ask you, do you train jiu-jitsu? Did I ask you that last time you were here?
You didn't. I have. So I did jiu-jitsu so I did it back in high school and a little bit of college. There, just in North City. I don't remember the name of the place at this point, but I did that for a little while. Got out of it. Got into law enforcement. Started doing it again. I help out with I was helping out at one point with our defensive tactics program. So I helped out with some of that. Here in Evansville, Nice Guy Submission, phenomenal group of guys over there. Jesse and David run that place, just really, really good guys. So I've done it there. I've not been. It's probably been 4, maybe 5 months. I had a guy that put me in. I don't know the names of these things, these moves, but he put me in something that cranked my back. Yeah. And I mean, it hurt. Like, it hurt. Right. I had to stop right there. And I have been leery of going back, because even right now, I went to the chiropractor and different things, and that's helped. I've done some of the massage therapy things. But even right now, deadlifting hurts. Yeah. So I don't want to get in there and hurt myself more, but I will get back into it. But I did it for probably a year and a half.
Do you weight train regularly?
Yeah, so I work out downtown at the Y.
Oh, do you?
I probably go in and lift 3 to 4 days a week, and then I want to say that I do some cardio, but like my cardio is probably like a bike and a 20-minute walk.
Yeah.
So that's my cardio at this point, but
still a lot more than most.
Sure. Yeah.
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 I can say just like I've done my cardio for the last however many years that I've been training now is like 30 to 50-minute incline walks on the treadmill, and that's it. And like I probably 6 days a week, 7 days a week doing that.
Sure.
And just from doing that alone, now getting into like some long distance running, I can tell like my cardiovascular is way higher.
Oh, I'm sure.
Just compared to if I hadn't been doing it at all. I remember back whenever I was doing maybe 2 or 3 sessions a week, and then me and Briley were doing a little bit of running, and I was running like 2 miles at a time.
Sure.
And just gassed.
Well, and the cardio training, there is a point where you'll see like maybe some diminishing, or it'll diminish your weight training a little bit, but for the most part, like it boosts weightlifting so much.
Yeah, I gotta go hit weights after this.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it will boost a lot of that.
Suck.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I know.
I get it.
Yeah. I've already done it.
But I see people like we've got an officer that he's more of a hybrid trainer or a hybrid weightlifter.
Yeah.
And he'll go out like the Nick Bear, Nick Barr type people.
Nick Bear. I've been watching his podcast the last 5 days straight. My whole algorithm is Nick Bear and Truett Haynes.
Yes.
Truett Haynes just ran the Boston 5K in jeans. Or no, the Boston, not 5K, not marathon.
Who's
in jeans?
The other guy, the other big runner. He's kind of a weightlifter too, more of a hybrid trainer. He's the bow hunter. Haynes, I think Haynes.
Oh, Cameron Haynes.
Cameron Haynes.
Cameron Haynes and his son. That's Truett is his son.
Truett's his son. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Cameron Haynes. I've listened. I mean, I think I have his book.
Podcast is awesome. The run, shoot, lift. Yeah, that's awesome.
Those guys are just impressive.
Yeah, that's Nick's a freak.
He is.
Like, I think he's getting ready for like a high Roxy competition right now. And he just did I watched a video where he was training. And he was 211 whenever he started the workout. Whenever he finished, he was 203. He lost 8 pounds during his workout.
So I love watching those guys.
Yeah.
And you talked about steroids there at the very beginning. Like, I'm not inherently opposed to anabolic steroids. I think that.
Sure, me neither.
I think that. I think there's a place. I'll put it that way. But I just wish more guys, like everybody that watches Nick knows that dude's on the juice. 100%. But he won't talk about it. And I wish there'd be some more guys like that would just be transparent. And maybe he's not juicing all the time or things like that.
He's got to be running TRT at a minimum.
Talk about it. Like, have that open conversation of like, this is how I got to this place. Instead of, and I'm not going to say he advocates that he's all natural. I don't know all of Nick's story. But some of these guys, they look like him, and they're like, I'm all natural. I've never done anything. I'm like, no. Have a conversation. Like, let's be open about this, and just show people this is how I did this.
Because you guys aren't 23 anymore.
Sure.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
You start looking at how old some of these guys are, and you see that, and not knocking them. I'm just saying, like, it just doesn't. You don't age that way.
No, no, not naturally.
Just don't naturally age that way.
Which, if there's some help in there, I mean, just again, be honest and upfront. Like I've had this kind of help, whether it's TRT, whether it's this, whether it's that.
Yeah, and I think I just had a good talk with Derek Shelton about testosterone, and I really think just because testosterone is a taboo to talk about, it seems like, but I really think testosterone administered at a correct dose for really any guy over the age of 18 can be super, super beneficial.
Sure.
There's some guys that are just off the charts, don't need it, whatever. But I think the last time I looked into it, the numbers of testosterone in men right now is dramatically low.
Oh, yeah.
And down a lot. And, you can get into all sorts of whatever that's about. But, but whenever you talk about supplementing testosterone into fat, like I've been talking to my dad about it. I'm trying to get him to do it. I'm like, Dad, you need to be on TRT. I don't know why you're not. I don't know what. Like, there's literally, side effects minimal. Again, and whenever you're under, a doctor's watch the whole time and you're getting your blood work done. And you're really only seeing a lot of positives come out of this. And then the worst case scenario is if you do like, you just don't like the way it makes you feel for whatever. I don't know why you wouldn't, to be honest.
Yeah.
But then you just stop.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely.
And as long as you're getting your blood work done, and you're staying on top of your health, and like you're really not running that many risks.
Yeah.
Other than it's like, do you want to keep feeling how you feel now, or do you want to potentially feel better?
Yeah.
Because like those are the options.
Do you remember the Liver King stuff that was going around? So like Liver King there toted this. I'm 100% natural, eat liver, like eat raw meat, and this dude's doing just it was so entertaining to watch some of this.
Believe in him. Dude. Like there were people like would ask me if I thought he was natural. I'm like,
there's zero chance.
Absolutely not. Like,
and then I think he went natural though. I think that so they found out that he was on what, like $10,000 worth of supplements a month. Something insane.
Yeah, his emails leaked.
Yes, that's what it was.
Plug and
so that got leaked, and then he's like, "All right, I'm gonna go natural," and then dude like shriveled up. I mean,
I think he went to TRT.
He may have, but then he's like, "No, I'm back on it." Like, I think he's like back on this thing. And he's like, I didn't like looking like I did, so now I'm back on it. Like, I'm just going to be open with everybody this time.
And that's all anyone wants.
Yeah, just tell us the truth.
Yeah, and the fact there was people actually believing what he was saying, and like actually people on his side and was like, no, hard work and liver and whatever. And I'm like,
who's going to go
eating raw liver?
Man, yeah.
I don't like liver cooked raw. However you get
me either. I'm not gonna eat. Like I raise the majority of my animals myself for food, and because we think it's healthier. I'm not gonna go eat that meat raw.
No.
I might like a medium well steak, or a medium, or even maybe a medium rare. But you're not gonna see me grab a ribeye straight from my freezer, thaw it out, and start chowing down.
It just like doesn't even make sense to me.
No.
Why? Like. Why wouldn't you cook? Where did he like try to tap into that whole ancestral thing and whatever? And I was like, okay, but like these people had fire. They were still roasting their shit over some.
And then he would make comments. He's like, look at predators in nature. He's like, when a predator takes down a deer, the first thing they go for is the liver. I'm like, no, they don't. Like I've seen like deer carcasses, from coyote hunts or whatever, where they've eaten this thing. They're not burying through all this and pulling the liver out. Like wolves aren't doing that. He talked about wolves and bears a lot, like the apex predators. And I'm like, no, they didn't. They don't. They eat the meat. They eat the animal in general. It's kind of what they can get their mouth on. They start chipping away.
They're wild animals. Like, they're not like nitpicking little pieces out of the way.
No, look, where's that liver at in there? Give me the liver and the heart.
Their paws.
No,
and they're like, no,
they don't know the anatomy of the
ass first, buddy. They don't care. It doesn't matter.
Golly. So his whole again entertaining to watch him.
Yeah,
but it was the whole scandal with that was wild.
Yeah, I couldn't I just couldn't. The whole training, eating the raw meat and stuff, eating the food raw. I'm just like.
Not for me.
What are we doing?
Not for me.
Like, our ancestors were mauled and killed for years and years for us to not live like that anymore. Like, to not have to eat the meat raw. I don't know.
To each their own. Some people bought into it, but that's their prerogative, I guess.
The latest debate, it's an interesting one. One Silverback Gorilla.
Oh,
versus 100 men. What do you think?
So, personally, I've heard both arguments with this. I heard one guy, he's like, listen, this whole argument, gorillas are not trained to fight. Like, they don't know how to fight. Like, they don't put their fists up and have a fist fight. But they're just...
So square up with one then.
Yeah, so square... He's like, all you got to do, he's like, take their back and choke them out. And I'm like, but really, would you get in there and try that? So I understand the thought. I have the thought of the gorilla it's not a trained fighter. Is it vicious and violent? Absolutely, it could be. Could 100 men, you're a fit dude. Could 100 of you take down a silverback gorilla? I think they could. I think that you get enough men in there to grab a hold of this thing at the same time, they'd win. But people
You're
are going to
lose
get really
couple.
hurt.
We're going to lose a couple.
Do I want to be in that stack? Not at all.
We have to determine who's the first 15 to go.
Yes.
Because they're going to get it.
Yes.
Bad.
Yeah. And that's it. But that's also, is this gorilla attacking back? Or is it scared? It's going to possibly just be scared of these 100 men.
I'm going into it thinking full attack. It's going to go.
I don't know enough about gorillas other than I know they're super strong. And I know they can just like...
They have a bite force of a lion and they're capable of lifting 2,000 pounds. So...
And I hear that number. They're capable of lifting 2,000 pounds. You know, Eddie Hall lifted 1,000, and he's a freak of nature. How quick? Like, is the gorilla going to struggle with the 2,000 pounds like Eddie struggled with the 1,000?
Yeah, how easily?
Yeah, like, are you talking the strongest? Is that the strongest silverback ever to live? Is that the average? I don't know.
Is this a factor where size is going to matter? If you send, because you know, you're talking human on human, and you send in, or just a human on human fight, and you can have a guy that's 135 pounds and crawl all over some guy that's 250 with the right training.
Yeah.
Is that going to work on a gorilla? If you send in 150 pound, 100 guys, 150 pounds, martial artists, but they're not very big
different,
guys.
I would think. And also, you got to think like the mentality of these men. Are these your men that have that mentality of like, I'm going to go mess this gorilla up, or are they scared men? Because there's a lot of soft men these days.
Sure, and then it's like, you know, I think whenever you hear about, they're like size matters whenever, or size doesn't matter. You hear that with like wrestlers and fighters, like size doesn't matter. But like at some point,
it does.
The strength difference, I feel like, can become so substantial that size absolutely matters.
It's kind of like the Brazilian jiu-jitsu tournaments. If you've seen much of those, like I'll watch, an Instagram reel or a YouTube short.
Like there's a reason for weight classes.
There is, and they'll take in these open classes or these whatever they call them, where there's no weight class, and you'll have a white belt that's 320 pounds, and you'll have your brown or your purple belt that's 130, and there's a point where the little guy just can't quite do much against this big fella simply because of his size.
You
can't wrap your legs around him. You can't. I mean, just physically, you can't pull them down. They get on top of you, like you physically can't shove them off.
Yeah, you can't move them.
Now, again, there's a guy here in Evansville that fights in the UFC, Nate Manis, and this guy, like, I've probably got 60 pounds on the dude. There is not a shot of me taking this guy down. Like, dude's phenomenal. Now, so there is kind of that.
It has to be. I feel like it has to be substantial.
Yes.
Like it can't be like me. I'm getting roughed up by any weight class, any day of the week.
Yeah.
It has to be like, again, like some Eddie Hall or like Brian Shaw, like. Even if you have some guy that's 140 and he's trained, like, I just don't see you messing with those guys.
Again, so I guess, long story short, my opinion is I think 100 men could take down a gorilla.
Take down one.
I think that 100 men could.
And then, after it's going to get tired.
Sure.
You're going to wear it down at some point.
Yeah.
Again,
what's a gorilla's stamina look like? I don't know.
We got to find the first 20.
I don't want to be in that first stack.
I mean, people are looking for things to do. What people you take down in your job.
Sure, send them out there. Let them.
These predators out here. You know what? Like, we've got some experiments
style. Yeah,
and you're up.
Yep. Chance to win your freedom.
Well, that's what we'll tell them. That'll be a lot.
That's what we'll tell them.
Speaking of that, I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
About the latest story as far as predators in this area, this high school teacher that just went down. I don't know, were you involved in that? Did you?
No, it's a county case.
So the reason I bring it up, the fact he tried to kill himself.
Sure.
And the pictures were insane.
Yeah, I saw his booking photo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was gnarly. It was almost like symbolic.
Yeah.
In a way. It was
He's got two lines going down his throat with the staples. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that case is locked. Like, I can't even access that case. So obviously, like, yeah, we'd all want to know about it. I essentially know kind of what I've seen from social media. I don't really know the detective over it very well. I honestly know about as much as what the general public knows about it at this point. I know there's the rumors about, the principal at the school is potentially like there's allegations against him. I don't know the Unsubscribed podcast. The same thing, like similar thing going on in Buffalo, New York. Have you heard about all that? So very similar, I guess. So there's rumors that this high school here in Evansville is covering up for this guy. Again, I don't know if there's any validity to that, but the rumors on Facebook, if you just read the comments on, Evansville Watch's post, there's all kinds of rumors about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I know in Buffalo, I think the district attorney's office they have like a pretty heavy investigation currently going on against the Buffalo, New York school system. I listened to that, and the podcast will infuriate you. So there's a lieutenant, I think he's a lieutenant, that was on the podcast. He's like, listen, so let me back up. This guy is a podcaster. That's where he makes his money from. He's a cop by choice, and he's not making his big money off of being a detective in Buffalo, New York.
Sure.
He pushed this up through like his chain of command. He said about these allegations against this Buffalo school system, and the Buffalo school system won't respond to subpoenas. They won't. The attorneys there aren't responding to subpoenas. The teachers aren't responding to subpoenas.
Nobody, huh?
Nobody.
They got the whole school on lock.
And cases that he's personally been involved with, the school system has intentionally, and he has at this point proof that the school system is covering this stuff up, child sexual abuse, and he's gone on the record now as a whistleblower. He came out on the podcast and he's like, listen, I'm probably going to get sued. I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying all this, but someone needs to be the one to do this. Someone needs to talk about this. And dude, like, it's a massive investigation now. Like,
is this like a nationwide thing? Like, you think this is going on in multiple places? Like, schools have this kind of shit going on?
My personal opinion?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I think that there are. I think that, I know you and I have talked a little bit about schooling through, like, via text message and stuff like that a little bit, but I think that school systems, not the individual schools, or the teachers in the school. I'm trying to be careful how I word this.
Sure.
I think school systems there's a lot that are really messed up. Now, being messed up and being nefarious are two completely different things. Do I think there are some that are engaged in nefarious activity? Absolutely, I do. I think that this Buffalo school system is an example of that.
Right.
Are there other ones that are? I think so. I mean, if you look at child predators, if you are a real child predator, where are all the kids at? They're at schools. School. How many? If you just did a Google search in Evansville of how many teachers have been arrested, or people that are in positions like whether it's a youth pastor or a daycare person, a daycare teacher, caretaker, whatever you call them. Teachers, like, across the nation, there are lots of them getting arrested. So do I think, am I naive enough to think that it's not bigger than that? No, it's definitely bigger than that.
Yeah.
Now, is the Evansville school system like that? I personally don't believe that, like, EVSC is trafficking children.
Right.
But I think that the people in administration there are too good. Now, at the high level of, like, go above the individual school systems, you get into, like, state level type things. I think there's a lot of really bad people that are in those positions to make decisions for our kids.
Yeah.
So that's I guess kind of my opinion. But I guess back to the issue with this high school teacher here in Evansville. I mean, he was in a place that he had access to a lot of kids. I tend to, in my position, I err on the side of believing the kids.
Sure.
Which I think that we should. I think that I should.
Well, if you don't, who will?
Who will? Yeah. I think that I also think that where there's smoke, there's fire most of the time.
Most of the time.
And there's a lot of allegations coming out on Facebook about this. There's a lot, involving a lot of kids.
Yeah.
How deep it goes, we'll see.
Right.
I'll be curious. I'll be real curious to see the affidavit at some point, which when they'll unlock this thing, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't even see it in our computer system. It like you type in the case number and it's just no file found, which is just indicative of the supervisors at Vanderbilt County Sheriff's Office have locked that case, which is pretty normal with a high profile case.
Sure. Yeah, you don't want too many hands on it.
No.
Yeah, dirtying it up.
Exactly. So yeah, I think that probably across the nation, there's things like this that are going on, and that they're just kind of slowly being exposed. Be curious to see what happens with it.
Yeah, it seems like it's a hot topic in Carmi too. It's like every other year, it seems like there's something popping off in there.
Well,
teachers left and right, and I don't know. Maybe I was like naive or something in high school, and but like in North City, as far as I was aware, I was pretty involved in most parts of that school throughout my 4 years there, and you didn't ever hear about that type of stuff going on.
You didn't.
You heard about it in other places.
Yeah, Carmi's had multiple allegations. This most recent baseball coach or assistant baseball coach. I knew him and his wife. He was a youth pastor.
I've known him for a long time.
That's wild.
Yeah. I've known him, a long time. And I remember reading all that whenever it came out on Facebook, and that just goes to show with people in the right places. You have people in the right places, and because that stayed pretty hush-hush for a long time.
It did.
And whenever it first came out, and then people were talking about how long, actually, some people had already known this was going on. It had already made its way to a case. And we were talking months and months later before it started to make its way out into public. And it's damn,
no kidding.
There should be no cover for you. How do you get to go that long and still walk around freely? And then some of these people, the way they still walk around with their effing pride, is what gets me the most.
Yeah,
some of these people you see walking around still, and you're just show their face at sporting events and stuff like nothing's ever happened, and everyone in the crowd is forgotten what happened, and I'm like, are you insane?
Yeah.
I don't know, just
I know in Evansville, we had a preschool teacher, and probably this would probably be in top 5 worst cases that I've seen. There's a preschool teacher that he ended up getting caught on video with less than 5-year-old little girls. And you talk about infuriating. I remember when we found out that there was video footage of this, and where this happened at. I won't say the location, but they were extremely cooperative. As soon as they heard that there was any inkling of allegations, they were Johnny on the spot with reporting it. Anything that we needed, they were so helpful with, which is what makes it weird is especially we talk about Buffalo, them not wanting to cooperate. I couldn't imagine, being a business owner or a, you run a school system and you don't want to help in an investigation like that.
Right.
You're willing to potentially protect a predator for what reason? I get that if this happened, that there could be liability maybe for the school or something like that. Screw the liability. But, we've got a child's life that we're dealing with here. And so this guy, for instance, again, we had him on video. And again, he lawyered up. There was stuff that went on with this one went pretty deep, but it was a very, very graphic case. And he's now sitting in prison for a very long time. So I think he was sentenced last year.
Damn.
So
yeah, it and that's Briley and I have went back and forth on the idea of homeschooling one of these days, and there's becoming so many more avenues of ways to educate your children.
Absolutely.
That doesn't involve putting them in the hands of a bunch of people that you don't know. And it seems like the more and more that comes out and the more goes on, it's like it makes it impossible to even want to send your kids out into a place like that.
Well, John Lavelle, the guy he's the founder of Warrior Poet Society. He's a retired Army Ranger or Green Beret, some kind of special ops. He just has a really cool. He's on the. There's like a Homeschoolers of America group. Nick Freitas. He's a Senate member from Virginia, I believe. Him and John Lavelle both have this thing that they do together. Anyway, it's to help. It's a support system for homeschoolers. And he makes the comment, don't be surprised if you send your kids off to Caesar that they come back Romans, or when they come back Romans. And, I think that applies to the public school system. If we want our kids to be like the rest of the world, send them to the public school system, because then they're going to be like the rest of the world.
Sure.
And again, this isn't a bash on teachers, because it goes far beyond teachers. And I've got teachers in my family. I genuinely think that teachers, the majority of them are phenomenal people, that they get into teaching because they want to help kids.
Right.
I think this goes way beyond teachers, but they get their hands tied by governmental regulations.
Yeah.
I want to know what my kids are being taught. If I'm going to go send them away for 8 hours a day, which, there's an argument for, and I think it's very valid. Like, why are we sending 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds away for 8 hours a day?
Yeah.
Like, I know my 5-year-old is a sponge, and I think she only goes to school for 6 hours a day. But still, even that amount of time, like she's in a private school with a very small class size. This started out as kind of like a homeschool group that has turned into a very small, technically, school.
Yeah.
So, even with her going away for that amount of time, she's a sponge. It does not take her very long to learn things.
Yeah.
And the time that kids could have with their parents in the family, learning about family values, like you and I's values, for the most part, I would guess would align. But there's probably going to be, you talk long enough, you're always going to have disagreements with people.
Of course.
And you're going to want to raise your kids probably slightly different than what I want to.
Sure.
And you should have that right.
Absolutely.
I shouldn't get to say, in every area, this is how you should parent your kid, Chase.
Yeah.
That you should punch me in the face, like if I was to come into your house and
yeah.
say, like, you're not doing this right.
Yeah, whose place?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would never come and get onto your child, in the sense of like a disciplinary action.
Sure.
You would be furious. Like if we were in Walmart and someone came and tried to discipline your kid, you would be furious.
Yeah.
Like, why do we hand them over to the school to do that and dish out punishment and dish out these different things and make decisions for them? So I believe that the public school system is designed to create employees.
Definitely.
And not free thinking entrepreneurs. Do I think that I think the goal is to not create free thinkers? Maybe not necessarily, but I think that the system itself has created this. You go to school, you sit for 8 hours a day, you learn to be a good kid, you learn to obey, you learn to take orders, you learn to take tests on your own, don't collaborate.
Yeah, which is the craziest thing. The more and more I look back, I'm glad we're going through this. It's just like, the more, everything that is designed through public schooling is to basically just isolate you, and like is to scare you into thinking that like you are just, and to some sense, you have to fend for yourself at some point. But like this idea of like, the not collaborating, and the fact that you like, you don't
assembly line employees go work in a factory.
Let's not pretend like we're not walking around with laptops in our hands, like all this dumb stuff that you want me to remember.
This thing is more powerful than like
any textbook.
Far more powerful than
like,
even 20 years ago, computers.
Yeah.
It's far more, literally in the palm of our hand, we can look up anything.
It's like, you want me to come in here and remember like just the silliest shit, in my opinion.
Yes.
And it's like, why? If I need to know this, give me 5 seconds and I'll figure it out.
Do I think that there is a place for learning proper grammar, learning mathematics, learning even something, like the history of America? English literature. I think there's a place for that, but we put such an emphasis on that. Memorize these things so you can get into college and spend $100,000+, go into debt. Therefore, now you're enslaved to the government because you have to pay that back. Be enslaved to the government. You need to go find this job. And, I think that it's built, again, just to create employees that do what they're told, sit in an office, be a good boy and girl. At times you're going to collaborate, but the most of the time you're going to sit and do your thing.
No pushback.
No.
No free thought. No, you're wrong in every aspect. Yeah. This person is right. Yep. This way, the highway, that's it. That's the only way. It's, and maybe there's certain kids where at some point that structure was good for them, or there are certain kids that maybe benefit from that type of setting. But I do agree that it's we overemphasize some of this stuff that just is not as important as it.
Well, I think that some of this was also maybe created for. You've got so again, I was raised in a home. I was born in '92. I was raised in a home where my dad was the only one that worked. Now, my mom worked some on and off things. My mom had a college education. It wasn't that she was incapable of work. She just valued being a stay-at-home mom. Mm-hmm. And my dad had a good job. So it was one of those things he was able to provide and mom stayed home and that kind of thing. And we've put such an emphasis on, mom needs to be in the workplace. And we've kind of created a system where we need dual income these days.
Yeah,
single income families, it's hard for them to live. Even if the woman wants to stay home right now, it's very difficult to do that. Mm-hmm. And again, no, this is not slamming women that want to be in the workplace. I'm not saying any of that.
Sure.
But give them the opportunity if they want to be a stay-at-home, or if they want that opportunity. It's very unmanageable these days to be a stay-at-home mom. So I think that public school, in a sense, also was kind of created in order to. Mom and dad neither one are home, so now we need somewhere for the kids to be able to go because they're mom's not in the home. My grandmother would talk about the one room schoolhouse. There's only 15 to 20 kids in there.
Yeah,
it wasn't this 300, and it was the kids that were all neighbors. It was like Cottonwood, Illinois is. So in between, they're off 141, in between the Omaha intersection and Mount Vernon, Indiana. There's this little place called Cottonwood, and I don't even know if it's officially even a town.
Yeah.
But there's still a one-room schoolhouse there. It's not in use. Right. But all the kids of Cottonwood, that's where they went. 75, 80 years ago. Yeah. That's where they went. And it was a very small little place, but they got their basic, 8th grade up to 8th grade education. And then many times the boys at that age, they would go help dad on the farm. They learned a trade. Dad kind of took over for the men or for the boys and said, hey, you're approaching manhood. You're 15 years old now. You need to learn how to till the land, or you need to learn how to drive a tractor, or you need to learn how to build a house. Learn a trade, learn a skill set. And let's talk about that. Where'd that go in schools these days for especially young men? Where'd shop class go? Where'd trades go? Why aren't we putting any kind of emphasis on this? I think about something as simple as I say simple as a lineman. Linemen are very skilled at what they do, but why do we push this college education when most college educated people are going to get out of school and make $60,000, let's just say $60,000, $60,000 to $70,000. You could, and they have ever how much debt? 100,000+. Linemen, you can go to school and I think your apprenticeship is 2 to 4 years, depending on where you go.
3, roughly.
Maybe 3. You're going to get paid $40,000 to $60,000, let's say, to be an apprentice. You're going to get out, dude, and you're going to make bank 100+ thousand a year.
Yeah, it depends on even through your apprenticeship. If you're contracting and stuff, and you're still working storms, you're still knocking down way more than that.
I've got a cousin or a cousin's husband that when these big fires happened out in California, dude, this guy would go and work 12-week stints.
Yeah.
He'd fly out to California as a lineman, work this short-term stint, and dude, I want to say he was getting paid $3,000 a week.
Oh yeah, probably more than that.
Crazy, maybe more.
Probably more than
and then
that.
they had a stipend on top of that for food per day. Room and board was provided.
Yeah, that's what my uncle works for Wayne White. And before my uncle worked for Wayne White, he was contracting, and he'd go out to New York whenever the ice storms hit.
What an opportunity!
Yeah, you're talking more upwards, like weekly, looking for those guys, probably like in the 15,000.
Like, where else can you go to make that kind of money?
Yeah,
around here, like unless you're a physician. Like where you gonna go?
That's what's so stupid too, especially like in North City. It was not even like trades were not pushed. I remember like back in high school, it was like you were going to college, like that was it. Like everything they asked you about was where are you going to college?
What's your ACT, your SAT? What are those schools?
Have you filled out a college? I never filled out one college application. Like all year they were on me. Miss Braden all year was like, if you filled out one, I was like, I'm not going. Like I ended up going for a year and a half, completely wasted my time. But yeah, I never, and for an area that does not have a lot of high college level degree jobs, it's bizarre that it is pushed so heavy.
Yeah.
Sure, kid, go be great. Do your thing. Absolutely. But like, at the end of the day, let's like look around here and see where we're at. Let's be a little more realistic about what the future is going to look like for some of these people. Yeah. And, maybe there's some of these kids. I wonder how many kids they probably would never tell you because, kill their pride. But how many people got like through college and was just like, fuck. Yeah. Shouldn't have done that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that I figured, because I had it in my head for some reason that I wanted to go to a 4-year, and I think it was just like to party. That was the only reason. The only reason I was interested in college. And yeah, I thank God every day that I did not end up in some 4-year university somewhere, because I would have been so much money in debt, and I can tell you wholeheartedly I would have got nothing from it.
Sure.
1,000%.
Yeah. Like I have an exercise science degree. Like I'm a cop. Like it gets me. I think we get like per year we get like $750 bonus for having a college degree. Like that's not hardly anything. You know what I mean? Did I learn some things in college? Sure. Did it maybe help me, learn some study habits? Maybe. But I don't utilize my degree. Now, thankfully, I had a full ride. I don't have any college debt, and I never have had college debt. So I'm thankful for that. Now, I'm not upset that I have a college degree. I'm thankful that I was able to have that. But at the same time, like, I don't encourage college for my kids. Yeah. And I'm not going to. Like, if my daughters say, like, hey, I want to be a stay-at-home mom, like, I'm going to encourage that. Like, find something that you can do from home then.
Like, there's so many ways to make money.
Well, yeah.
In today's day and age. And go ahead, I can finish your thought.
I was just going to say, like, I tell my daughters over and over and over, 2 things that I want you to focus on more than anything else. I said, in the future, I want you to be the best wife you can possibly be, and I want you to be the best mother you could possibly be. Now, if there's something else that comes with that, great. But if you can do those 2 things, like, my wife, she was a nurse prior. It was great having dual income, but I have so much more value with her being at home. Sure. And she is such a contributor to our family. And my wife would tell you the same thing. Like, my wife is anything but lazy. Sure. And taking care of our household with 4 feral children, dude, it's plenty of a full-time job.
Yeah. Well, when did we stop thinking that was a full-time job? When did it become I talked about
it's like a negative for some people.
I talked about this once I don't know if you're familiar with Andrew Schultz. He's a comedian. And he's from New York, and him and his wife just had a baby, and he was talking about how his wife is a stay-at-home mom. And he said it crushed him. They were out somewhere and run into some friends hadn't saw a while, since they had the baby and all that. And they were asking her like what she was doing now. And she said, "Oh, I'm just a stay-at-home mom." And he said it killed me whenever she said that. Like, I'm just a stay-at-home mom. Sure. He's like she's not working from middle of the night to. I mean, it's 24 hours a day. It doesn't end. He's like, so like he's like just like to hear her, look at it. Oh, I'm just a stay-at-home mom. He was like, when did? He was like, well, luckily he's like, I do what I do, and she can stay home comfortably and whatever. So he's like, I understand, a lot of families can't do that comfortably, like I can, but he was just like, when did that, I'm just a stay-at-home mom. He was like that. He's like, hearing her say that, he's like, it crushed me a little bit. He was like, he's like, when did this become such a, like, oh, being a mom is just like something you can just do whenever you feel like it or whenever it's convenient for you.
So I get 3 meals a day. Like, my wife fixes 3 meals a day for the most part. Like, there's times we eat leftovers and whatnot, but we get 3 meals a day. My kids get 3 good meals a day. We're not having to go to get takeout and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I have a house that's clean. My house doesn't stink.
Right.
I have a shower and a bathtub that's clean.
Yeah.
My sinks are clean.
Yeah.
And not that, her job revolves around cleaning. But I also have kids that are raised by their mother. I have kids that whenever they get home from school, mom's there every single day. If there's an emergency that comes up, if the pigs get out, I can say, hey, babe, can you go put the pigs up? And she can do that. Like, she's able to put out so many fires and be such a jack of all trades. It's incredible. Like, I could maybe fumble my way through it and figure it out eventually, but she's so built for that. Just caretaking in general. Yeah. I mean, it's such a blessing for our family having that.
Yeah, well, it only makes sense that women are the ones that have to, become pregnant and birth children, and not saying there's not amazing dads, but typically, your mom's good with the kids and knows what they probably need any second of the day.
Sure.
And I think there's a definite reason for that, is because guys couldn't handle it.
Oh yeah,
I couldn't.
Yeah. I didn't just getting mad over stupid stuff. Yeah.
There's no way. If I had to be pregnant for 9 months, I'd be so mad. Are you kidding me? Like,
get this baby out of me.
Yeah, immediately.
Yeah.
Like, it just only makes sense that women do it, and it's like, since you start to think, it's like, man, women, they really got to go through it, with some of that stuff compared to men. Got it pretty easy, but then I'm like, yeah, but it makes sense because I don't think we could do it.
She's birthed 4 children, and she has breastfed all of them. And I think about just the time spent her getting up at night that I don't have to, like, and physically, like, I can't, like, obviously I can't breastfeed a child. Right. So when this child gets up in the middle of the night, and again, 4 kids at this point. Yeah. So, like, 4 kids she's done this with. That's, feeding them. That's 4 years at least that she has spent getting up multiple times every single night for that amount of time. Like, I would be a bear to be around. You would not want to see me. Like, I would be so mad getting up and doing stuff. Like, yes, I've gotten up and changed the baby's diaper, but it's compared to the amount of times that she's done that.
Right.
Oh, it's very infrequent.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it seems, that's cool that that's the relationship that you have to, because it's more and more common. And kind of like you said, it's not like a knock on women that do want to be in the workplace or whatever, but sometimes whenever you talk about having that sort of relationship with your wife, it seems like women these days want to take almost offense to that. And like, they want to get on some high horse about how they're, and I don't know where that comes from, where that, like, getting upset about, like, oh, well, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, she's not, you're a slave, you shouldn't expect her to clean all these things. It's like, yeah, but I don't think that's a really dumb way to look at it. I think that
that's like a very shifting, though.
That's there's just no heart in that. To me, it's like, okay, you don't know what real love is then.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Like, you're not actually in love with somebody, or like that other person doesn't actually love you the way they say, because if they did, it would never even be viewed as that type of relationship anyway, I wouldn't think. I don't know if you listen to much, lately I've been listening to a lot of Naval Ravikant, I think is his name. He's like a big businessman and like philosophy guy, and he just did a podcast with Chris Williamson. I don't know if you know, he's a British guy. He's kind of starting to make waves in America. He just announced he's going on tour in America. But this Chris Williamson and the Vol podcast is probably the best podcast I've ever listened to. It's like 3.5 hours long, and I've listened to it 3 times in like the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
And Naval was talking about raising his kids, and one thing he said was It was a piece of advice that he heard from someone else, but he said whenever it comes to raising your kids, he's like, you want to raise kids that are quick to learn and hard to kill. Mm-hmm. And that was like one of the biggest pieces of advice that he took into like whenever him and his wife started having kids. He's like, quick to learn and hard to kill. He's like, because, you're not going to be around forever. Mm-hmm. So he's like, you want to, this like idea that you don't want kids that are like maybe a little aggressive or not like fend for themselves. And like, we're basically raising this cupcake world of kids running around these days. It's like, and what, he's like, I would be scared to death whenever the day comes whenever I'm not here anymore. Mm-hmm. And I have to leave this earth, and knowing that these kids I've raised have to fend for themselves.
Sure.
He's like that's what it's all about. He's like, everything you're doing with these kids and raising is for the day that you're not here anymore.
Yep.
And he's like, you have to be ready for that day, or you have to make sure they're ready for that day.
Absolutely.
And he said that, and then he also was talking about as far as whenever his kids were young, whenever he was like starting to try to explain things to them. And instead of just like disciplining and saying, no, don't do this, don't touch that. He's like, a lot of things with kids that we're trying to teach them is basically hygiene related. Mm-hmm. For the most part, like, no, don't eat that off the floor. Don't touch this. Don't lick that, whatever it is. And he's like, so instead of just like telling these kids, no, he's like, because kids for the most part are pretty understandable and can reason, when they understand what the situation is. He's like, so instead of just like telling my kids, no, he's like, at a very young age, I started to introduce basic like germ theory to my kids. And he's like, I would pull up videos on YouTube, like under a microscope of germs and be like, this is what germs are. Like this is, he's like, and now they have something to go back to. Remember, whenever you're telling them, no, don't do this because of that, instead of just like, well, I don't really know why. Dad's just being a dick and trying to control me and boss me. It's like, oh no, I remember why, because it's bad, and he showed me why. Yep. And that's that basic idea of discipline with your kids, I think, is huge. And that's something that whenever we eventually have kids, like that's how I want to be. I don't want to be like, because I don't like being told what to do.
Sure.
I just don't.
Same.
I haven't for a long time.
I almost try to do the opposite whenever I'm told like what to do sometimes.
Yeah. I'm very bad about it. I can be very spiteful. And like if you tell me what to do, there's a good chance I might just do the opposite for my pure joy and satisfaction. Sure. And I am that way. Yep. But you can ask me to do the same exact thing, but like ask me or like go about it a different way, and I'll help. Sure. I'll be the first one to help. No big deal. But don't tell me to do it. Because, like, again, I don't like being told what to do.
You'd have done great in the military.
It'd been bad. I don't know. I don't think I'd have made it. Because I just like, you guys are going to end up just fucking me up is what's going to happen. You're not going to, this isn't going to end well for anybody. Yeah. And I think, like, that approach, I think a lot of people are that way. No one likes to be told what to do. Mm-hmm. No one wants someone pointing in their face telling them what to do. And it's like, why do we not give kids that same grace? Mm-hmm. I understand you want to have this like discipline. Sure. You want them to know the hierarchy of the household and how things work, of course. But sometimes I think that could just be easier achieved with a younger mind with just like a little respect and like reason, and instead of just like thinking that your kid's dumb because they're young and they don't understand, maybe like take 10 minutes and explain something. And like I just think there can be some sort of like respect like given there, and like it's something that you don't learn until you're older, and I didn't learn it until I was older. And now like with my parents, like there is this like underlying level of respect that doesn't have to be explained or talked about. We just know, like, they tell me to do something, we have this respect where I listen to them. Yeah. Because I understand now. Like, it's like, I just feel like that should be gotten, like, pushed into kids, like, at a younger, this, like, perspective, like, look, I'm actually, like, trying to help you. Let me explain and show you why this could be bad. Instead of just, like, no, I'm the boss, I'm the dad, what I say goes.
Yes. I think that there is a time and a place for the I need immediate action, I need immediate obedience. If your kid is walking towards a busy road at 5 years old, I need Jocelyn to stop immediately whenever I say stop.
Sure.
I think there's other times, and what Haley and we've talked about this is we're trying to in other times get behind just challenging their thinking. So they may not be doing something inherently like immoral or bad, sometimes there's just annoyance that comes as parents. Like we're just annoyed at our child.
Sure.
And so sometimes you do have to kind of work around that as well. But we're trying to ask more. Well, why do you think this way? What made you do this? What were you feeling? And I don't think that is. Some people say, well, that's woke thinking right there. And I don't think it is. I think
that's treating them like a human being.
I think that you can overdo that at times. Like whenever your kid's screaming in the grocery store and there's the funny videos of like the lady that gets on the floor and she's like, let's talk about our safe place. Tell me what your emotions are right now.
I'll smack you in the mouth.
Yeah. My dad would have grabbed me, swatted my butt, and dragged me out of the store. I think there's a time and a place for those things. But
does that come with that underlying respect?
It does.
Because I see what you're saying about like, you need there to be that line where they know whenever like this is just no because it's no.
Yes.
And because whether it's a life or death situation or because you physically see what's about to unfold.
You're at a funeral and your kid's just yelling and screaming. Like, we don't do that here.
Yeah.
Like this is a firm no.
Yeah.
So like Jocelyn, for instance. Jocelyn's 7. Jocelyn is very much like me. She looks like me. She acts like me. She talks like me.
Yeah.
She smarts off like me. Like there's a lot that me and Jocelyn have in common. And Jocelyn is very bullheaded. Mm-hmm. She's very stubborn in some areas. And she's kind of that same, like, you tell her no and she wants to do the opposite simply because you told her to do the other thing. So Haley and I are trying our best. I don't want to squash that. Like, I don't want to squash that personality because that's also the personality that I think goes out and changes the world.
Sure.
I don't want to squash it, but we do want to harness it. We do need to form it and shape it, and in a sense, control, channel, whatever word you want to use. You've got to direct it even. Like, this needs to be directed in this kind of way. Like, you can go off the rails. Like, an addictive personality, like you mentioned, can be a horrible thing. You start getting a taste for fentanyl, that's bad.
Yeah.
You get some methamphetamine in your system, you like that, like, it's going to send you down the wrong path. But you channel that in the right way, an addictive personality or a steadfast personality, maybe a better way to even say that.
Yeah.
Like, you're stuck in your way. That can be very good. Like, look at the culture right now. Like, we're so wishy-washy on things. People don't, one minute they believe this, and then they're like, well, I heard this other podcast, or I heard this other person say this. Like, then they're like, well, now I think this way. And then they hear something different. They're like, well, no, I think this way. And
but then you look at who these people are listening to. And you look at who's been at the top of the game the whole time.
Yeah.
And you listen to these people, and guess what? They're not wishy-washy. They've got their minds made up. They believe what they're saying.
Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, those guys aren't scared at all to interview somebody and say, I don't agree with you. Yeah. I think what you just said is wrong.
There's a reason those people have been at the top of the game.
Yes.
And that's a podcasting world. That's a sport, any sort of top professions, the top of the top.
Pastors, how many pastors these days are so wishy-washy on their political belief? During COVID, they're like, oh, we're going to shut down. We can't have people in here. And then afterwards, they're like, oh no, that was stupid. Like, that was just the flu that we had. Like, they went back and forth so much. But the pastors that I respect have stayed steady through everything. Like, they're like, I believe this. I may not agree with them. Like, there's people that I don't agree with what they teach, but at least they've stayed steady, and I have a respect for that. Like, you've been the same. Like, that's one thing that I'm trying to get better about, is being, because there's times I feel like I'm a hypocrite during whatever it might be, because I believe this way on this, and then like I'm like, oh, I kind of caved on my view on this or whatever it might be. I feel like
my whole life half the time I just walk around feeling like a hypocrite.
Yeah. So I'm trying to be more just steady and consistent. Like, I love, there's certain people that I know, and especially some police officers, they're just consistent. They're consistent people. They're predictable in the sense of they're going to treat me the exact same way they're going to treat their best friend, even if I'm not really their friend.
Those people are some of the funniest too.
Yeah.
Because you know how they're going to react. And like whenever they do, you're just like, oh, that's such a you thing to do.
Yes.
You're just like, and you knew that's what you were going to get.
Yeah.
And typically, whether you like those people or not, like, you don't mind you can manage to be around them, even if you don't like them or agree, just because you can at least respect the fact that, like, well, I know how they're going to be.
Sure.
And I'd rather be in a room with 10 people like that than 10 people that I was like, you're guessing, trying to figure out what everyone's thinking.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't remember how we got off on that. We were talking about the kids, but yeah, just something. Just like that, the underlying respect, though. Yeah, there's something that I think comes with it. I think it gets lost, I think, with young people. Mm-hmm. The respect, this idea of like respect your elders, and just this whole fall in line, do what you're told.
Oh yeah,
like, and the kids that do act out, they're the ones that are. They're first one in line. These kids need to be on this medication, or they're out of control in my classroom, or whatever the case may be. And it's like, yeah, well, just and a lot of those kids, you wish you could just tell them, you just wait till you get out of here.
Yeah,
just wait.
Yep,
like you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with you. You just get a little excited. It's okay.
Well, and little kids, like they want to throw around the whole ADHD thing. I think we might have talked about this last time. But like little boy's gonna be a little boy. Like my kid they'd probably say they had ADHD or something. Like they're just wild. They're feral. They want to play. They want to be loud. They want to have fun.
Right.
They don't want to they don't want to have to sit down and just like stare at a chalkboard.
Yeah, there's been a lot of pictures going around, and they've been talking. I've been seeing like ADHD should be referred to as like a superpower.
Sure.
And it's like it's the people that had the ADHD that like back our ancestors, like they were the ones that survived.
I've seen that. They've made memes of it and different things.
Yeah. It was like, like they say there's a lot of people that believe like people with ADHD are just like direct descendants from like hunter gatherers who basically was like you had to fight to survive literally every single day. And like it's just in their DNA. Like, they're not meant to go sit still in a classroom. They need to be out messing shit up, getting dirty. Like,
eat some worms.
Whatever the case is. Yeah. One last thing I was gonna ask you about earlier. I did the new homeschool act that they were trying to push through in Illinois. I think that's kind of what we had talked about.
Sure, yeah.
I saw that it made it through. It kind of has stalled out a little bit, but it's still active.
I followed that for a little while, and then I've not followed it here real closely over the past few weeks.
I kind of just waited for something else to come out about it.
That's kind of where I was at too.
I think they said the Democrats were being real wishy-washy on, and even they were kind of like,
yes,
I don't know about this.
Yes, and there's lots of stuff. And at the end of the day, like I'm not inherently opposed to having someone just check in on a homeschool child. Like I don't think that that's the wrong thought process to say like we should just never check on this child in any form or fashion. I think there should be an agency
for that though.
And part of me doesn't think it should be a governmental agency though.
Sure,
that's the thing. Is
when I say agency in a loose way, but. Yeah, I don't think it should be in relation to the public school system.
So there's a lot of stuff with that act that like allows them to come in your home and check your books for this at any point in time, registering your kid with the state.
Yeah,
like, there's a lot of people that have kids that they're not registered with anybody, and it's kind of like an off-grid kid. Like I want to live a pretty off-grid lifestyle. Like there's part of me that agrees with that and sees the benefit of that. Like. I don't want the kid. I don't want the government knowing anything about my children. But at the same time, like I know that there are bad people that they would use homeschooling as a way to completely keep their kids from anybody finding out about them or seeing if anything was wrong.
Sure.
So they want. I know there was one part where they wanted to make the argument that this homeschool bill was to protect kids from sexual abuse inside the home.
Mm-hmm, I saw
and that's not gonna, like, this would do nothing for that. This would help in that way in any form
your
or fashion.
120-minute check-in, you think you just scoped it all out and you know what's been going on for the last month in that house?
Absolutely.
Like, no, you're just being nosy.
Yes.
Like, stop acting like you've got this white knight umbrella you're riding in on.
Yes. I think that they want to just have more access to our kids, and it's the government overreach.
it's funny. It's like, you try to do things like this and you can just see them like over there just getting pissed off like a little kid, and they're just like literally just like gnawing at your door. Like, how can I get inside? It's like, it's kind of crazy.
We want to look around. We want to be nosy. I don't want you in my home.
Right.
You know?
At what, like, God, it is crazy. It's like, I was just having this thought a minute ago, going back to, you said like 70, 80 years ago, like, why women weren't really working. You had like the man of the house worked, women stayed home, and then it's like the way things kept happening in society, like women had to go to work. Well, now where do we, what do we do with the kids? And then of course here's the government with arms wide open. We'll take the kids, we'll take care of them, we'll raise them, everything will be fine. And according, just looking around now, it's like fast forward where we are today, and both parents are gone. Life's crazy. Kids are depressed. Kids are killing themselves. Kids are being seduced and being picked up by younger people for X amount of reasons. A lot of these times, kids probably either were just completely taken advantage of. They didn't have anyone at home. It's like just a whole system I'm like kind of starting to see has just been built to like completely unravel the family as a whole. And like, it's really, it just started to like kind of hit me literally like mid-conversation. It was starting to like kind of piece together. It's like every little thing, like every 10 years, there's like one other thing that, like I said, at first it was, wives having to go to work. And now it's, just like every little thing. It's just a little bit more to just get in there.
People used to be very involved with like their direct neighbors. Like, so you had the nuclear family. You had mom, dad, and kids. And they were very involved with their neighbors, like the people that were directly around them. And now, like most people that even live, side by side, next to each other in these houses and in town or whatever, like they don't know. They might know who their neighbors are, but they don't know their neighbors.
Right.
And the thing is like, not saying that we're getting ready to go into like crisis mode in the world, but if we were to be going into crisis mode and something catastrophic happened, then you're going to rely on those people directly beside you. And what do you bring to the table? Like, what skill set do you bring? What do your neighbors bring? And how can you all help each other in the end? And I think that the big government has designed it over a 100-year period to break that up. Of you're an individual, you don't need anyone else's help, you only need our help, rely on us for all these things.
That's what it seems like.
Because before, and I think back, and I don't know when, the government started to, provide, disability checks and anything like that. But before, like, if you were an 80-year-old widow, and I don't know when Social Security came about or anything like that, but before all of that, like you were taken care of by neighbors. And if you had leftover food, like I can remember my grandmother talking about, her mom telling her stories of, the person that had the milk cow, they provided milk to the 3 or 4 neighbors, and those 3 or 4 neighbors, they would bring fruits and vegetables over for them because this person was great at growing apples and cherries and whatnot. And then this person over here had eggs, and so they would trade, and this person had a flour mill and they'd grind the grain for the family. Like there was such a community mindset, and we don't have that anymore. We truly don't.
Was it money? Like
I don't know.
Like the literal dollar bill itself?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know what it was.
I mean, it's like it had, I just like currency. Like currency happened.
Sure.
Things started. One greedy bastard that had a whole bunch of eggs and realized that nobody had eggs.
Started wanting to charge for it. Yeah.
And it's like.
I don't know, but somewhere along the line, the community, the family mindset was kind of stripped away, and we went to this more. I mean, like think about how many kids like they move away from their parents and they move 4, 5, 6 hours away. Like I love my parents. Like my parents live on the same property as me.
Yeah.
Like I love that. Like I would love it if like I think it would be awesome if my wife to have 30, 40 acres. I don't want to live 6 feet away from my parents' house, but you had you as a family unit went in and you bought 30 or 40 acres, and you had grandma and grandpa set up one over here, and you had another set of grandma and grandpa over here, and
have you saw the family online? that's went viral online that has the compound.
Yeah, like those kinds. I think it's awesome.
Yeah,
that's a real love that.
Kind of they
stuff.
made a cool video where it was like 2 girls were at the house by themselves, and the grandparents were here, aunt and uncles were here.
Yeah,
and they've all got walkie-talkies. And like the parents were leaving, and they like radioed and were like, "Hey, we're leaving." And then they're like, "Hey, like we heard something outside," and then like 10 seconds later, there's just 10 trucks and guys with guns hop out and surround this house and come busting in the door. And they're like, yeah, that's why we leave our kids at home alone. They're fine. Is that
the same family? Like, I think I might have seen that where they're in like a big barn dominium.
Yeah.
Like, what's for dinner tonight? And the guy walks over to like one set of aunt and uncles. He's like, what are you guys eating? No, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Goes over to grandma and grandpa's. What are you guys eating? No, I don't want that. And then goes to the next one. He's like, well, you guys, I want that. I want steaks, kind of thing.
Right.
So I think that's such a cool mindset. Like from a financial standpoint, I was listening to a podcast talk about like the richest, wealthiest people in the world. They're not individuals, they're families. And you have these families there's families in the world right now that are worth over $1 trillion.
Yeah.
Not that I necessarily want to be a trillionaire, but it's the principle of those families stuck together for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And they used generational wealth to build this family and grow this family.
Well, more mainstream, hate them or love them, but the Tate brothers.
Yeah.
They're the same exact. Any money they've ever made is all in the same account, and they're crazy. Like they don't fly without each other.
Yeah,
because they're like, if one of us go down, we're both going down.
Yes,
like it ain't getting just one of us.
Yeah,
because they're like, if he's not here, I don't want to be here.
I've heard that kind of stuff.
Everywhere they go, they ride together. Like they don't go anywhere without each other. Like if something's gonna get us, it's gonna get us at the same time.
Sure.
And they live in the same house together. All their property they own together. Like that's that's how it was, at one point in time for everybody. And it kind of seems like maybe that's like a little cheat code to wealth. That's just maybe that was like the whole psyop from the government side of it was like, we've got these wealthy families and we can't be having that shit. So we got to get them all separated. And because we know they're weak and poor, whenever they're alone. And just like anyone is out in the world, like there's a reason that it takes armies to fight a war, right? Like,
Absolutely.
you can't just walk in there with one. Like you need the whole crew. Like,
absolutely. Damn. I like that kind of stuff. I like thinking about those things of like, what would it look like to have, all the brothers and sisters. And you don't want to live quite too close because then you start to bicker or whatnot.
Sure.
Like, have your own space.
Definitely.
But like, you get 4 or 5 brothers and sisters, family members, all living out on 40 acres. Dude.
Yeah.
That's a safe place out there.
It's a safe place to be. Yeah.
I mean, you just think of something like fencing. Fencing's super expensive.
Right.
If you had 5 families that went in to spend, $25,000 on a good fence.
Yeah.
Split it 5 ways, that's $5,000 a piece. You split it one way, that's a lot of money for me.
Yeah.
So I like those things I think about. I don't know.
Yeah, that's I don't remember who I was talking to, but yeah, the idea, this podcast was talking about another one, like a cheat code to wealth that people don't think about is getting married. Mm-hmm. They're like choosing that's financially one of the biggest decisions you're going to make.
Absolutely.
And like, if you're someone that's really worried about having money and being financially okay, well, then find you a woman or a man or whatever that has a good job. Now, obviously, they're, the moral aspect and all that. But, if that's like what you're wanting, like, then don't go marry the jokester.
It's the same concept of if you want to breed for like an athlete, like you're not going to go like I heard the thing they were talking about, like, men in general, they look for like the petite, cute, like fun size kind of woman.
Yeah.
But, then there's the joke that like, well, no, I want to breed soldiers. So I'm going to find me the 6'2", 190-pound woman that, corn fed and can go carry some 5-gallon buckets.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm raising little soldiers.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of soldier, going back to ultra marathons, I was reading, I guess, that's where like marathons came from, was back, it was like I don't remember who it was, if it was like a Greek soldier or something, but a battle had just ended and this dude had to run. I don't remember how far it was, but he run all this way, run across the battlefield, run, tell him that the war's over everything had ended, and I don't remember how far he ran, but he ran this whole way to tell his army like the war's over. And then whenever he got there, delivered the news, and he collapsed and died supposedly right after.
Really?
Yeah, that's like I was watching. I don't know if this is true or not, but I like to think it is.
Sure, yeah.
So, but yeah, that's like where the idea of marathons come from. The war ended, and there was like supposed to be more armies that were coming. It was gonna be bad, so he was trying to stop it from happening. So he had to run. Ran super far. He got there, delivered the news, and then collapsed, fell out, and died right after. And that's like where the inspiration of running the marathon like come from. That's why people still do it. Is to something to do with some guy running across the battlefield 3,000 years ago.
Don't collapse after years, man.
Yeah, I hope not, dude. We'll see. We'll see. All right, Zach. We're probably about to wrap this up. Any updates? What's going on the farm?
Chickens. We got lots of chickens.
What's going on?
We've got our meat birds. So I think that we, just kind of by word of mouth, we've pre-sold the majority of this first batch. I've got another 225 that are in the brooder box right now. 225 is a lot of chickens.
Yeah, it is.
So I just built a new brooder box. So they're sitting under the heat lamps right now.
How long does it take for you to get them out of there?
They'll be out in about 2 weeks. They'll be out on grass here in about 2 weeks.
How long for they're ready to be sold?
They'll be 8 weeks, 8 to 9 weeks total. So they're a week old right now. So about 7 weeks, 7 to 8 weeks from now, they'll be ready to be sold this next batch. Other than that, garden is in full swing. We've got just about everything in the ground, just about. We've got put a few things.
We got out there. Still.
Tomatoes, peppers. We've got so many potatoes planted. I'm waiting. I'm letting my sweet potatoes root out right now. That's the next thing we got to put in the ground. I've got carrots planted. I've got beets planted. I've got to get my corn in still. So our sweet corn, we'll probably wait till June to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of.
I saw that pizza. You posted on there. Oh god.
Haley, I told again, having a great wife. I came home and she's like, I'm gonna make pizza, and I'm like, cool. And she makes pizza all the time. It's delicious. I love it.
That's different.
And I said, have you ever tried a stuffed crust?
Yeah.
And she's like, no. And she's like, I don't think I could do that. I was like, oh, I bet you could.
Yeah.
And I go out and I'm taking care of the animals, and I come into that ginormous pizza that you saw.
It was like 2 inches.
Dude.
That was huge.
Dude, it was amazing.
Yeah,
so
I guarantee
she
it.
Came in, she's like, I went ahead and tried the stuffed crust. I'm like, really? And it was awesome.
Yeah, I need to get some of that sourdough bread from you.
Yeah,
because I'm eating a ton of sourdough bread right now. So
get your little starter going.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to put in a little order, get some of them sweet potatoes, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get that taken care of. Zach, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
thanks for coming over. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah.
As for you guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you guys are checking out Oxford Acres. Hit them up. They got the chickens on the way. You guys need to start eating some more chicken in your life. Get a little more healthy and fit. I'm just kidding. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you're heading over to Hydrate12 IV Therapy. Check them out on Instagram and Facebook. Get that IV scheduled today. It's getting hot. You guys are going to be sweating. You need to stay hydrated. All right, get that IV scheduled. New videos still coming out every single week. Thank you guys for the support. Love you.